In the dead of night, a copper giant was assembled on the edge of New York Harbor. Her torch promised freedom, yet her creators harbored secrets that almost doomed her. Across the nation, a bell meant to ring out liberty once cracked under the weight of its own message. And in a quiet Pennsylvania barn, the first stars and stripes were stitched while whispers of treason filled the air. These aren't just objects. They're America's silent witnesses, guarding stories we were never meant to forget. Stay with us as we uncover the hidden stories behind America's most iconic symbols. Subscribe for more untold history. Symbols are the language of nations, and America's are among the most recognizable in the world. But behind their polished surfaces lie turbulent origins. Picture 18th century Philadelphia. Cobblestone streets echo with the clatter of carriage wheels as revolution simmers beneath powdered wigs. Inside a modest brick house, Betsy Ross bends over fabric by candlelight, her scissors tracing a secret design destined to fly over a newborn country. A few decades later, in a bell tower nearby, the clang of a massive bronze bell reverberates through damp air. Meant to summon lawmakers, it would one day toll for freedom and fracture mid-peal. Fast forward to the late 19th century. Across the Atlantic, French artisans hammer thin sheets of copper, crafting a colossal woman bearing a torch. Their creation, meant as a gift, nearly stalls in political wrangling and financial despair before crossing the ocean to become the Statue of Liberty. Each of these icons, the flag, the Liberty Bell, Lady Liberty herself, emerged from moments of risk and defiance. Their stories are layered with ambition, failure, and the fragile hope of democracy. To understand their power, we must peel back the myths and step inside the workshops, ships, and secret meetings where America's symbols first came to life. The tale of the Liberty Bell begins in 1752, when Philadelphia's leaders ordered a grand bell from London. Cast with the words "Proclaim Liberty" throughout all the land, it arrived gleaming and promptly cracked on its first test ring. Local founders John Pass and John Stowe recast it, adding their names, but the bell would crack again during a rousing celebration decades later. Its flaw became its strength, silent yet resonant with the cry for independence. Meanwhile, whispers of rebellion drew a quiet upholsterer, Betsy Ross, into clandestine company. George Washington, Robert Morris, and George Ross entered her shop with folded sketches, an idea for a banner to unite 13 fractious colonies. Betsy suggested a 5-pointed star, easier to cut in haste than their original 6. Her nimble hands stitched together a vision of unity that risked hanging her for treason if discovered. Across the ocean, French sculptor Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi gazed upon the Suez Canal and dreamed of a colossal figure. His first concept, an Egyptian peasant illuminating Asia, never materialized. Years later, with America approaching its centennial, Bartholdi reshaped his idea into liberty enlightening the world. Financial troubles nearly ended the project. Only when Joseph Pulitzer rallied everyday Americans through his newspaper did donations pour in to build the pedestal waiting in New York Harbor. Yet Lady Liberty's voyage wasn't smooth. Packed into 350 crates, her copper skin crossed stormy seas before rising, piece by piece, on Bedloe's Island. Workers balanced on steel frames, the skyline a blur beneath them, until at last the statue's gaze turned toward the Atlantic, a beacon for millions who would follow. In every workshop, tower, and ship's hold, these icons survived failure, doubt, and peril. Their creators' ambitions pushed against politics, finances, even physics. And as their form solidified, so too did an idea that liberty is fragile but worth the struggle. The summer of 1885 found New York brimming with tension. Lady Liberty's copper limbs lay scattered along the waterfront, her head perched atop a warehouse like a watchful sentinel. Without a pedestal, she risked becoming an orphaned dream. Across the city, Joseph Pulitzer's newspaper thundered, "Send us your pennies, your nickels, your dimes. From factory workers to school children, coins streamed in, proof that liberty belonged not to elites but to the people. Stone by stone, the pedestal rose. On October 28, 1886, a storm whipped the harbor as crowds gathered. President Grover Cleveland declared the statue a gift of friendship, a beacon of liberty. Cannons roared. Boats bristled with flags. As Bartholdi climbed to release the great tricolor flag shrouding Liberty's face, the wind caught it, revealing her solemn expression. Decades earlier, a quieter climax had struck in Philadelphia. The Liberty Bell, already scarred, rang defiantly on July 8, 1776, summoning citizens to hear the Declaration of Independence. Its note, imperfect but resolute, echoed through streets thick with anticipation, and through history itself. And in Betsy Ross's workshop, the stakes were equally high. By candlelight, she sewed the final seam, folding a banner that could cost her life. That starry emblem would soon rally soldiers across battlefields, whispering of a fragile republic taking shape. Today, millions flock to see these treasures, but few grasp how close they came to vanishing. The Liberty Bell, now forever silent, speaks through its fracture. Freedom is hard-won and never flawless. Betsy Ross's flag has evolved into 50 stars, yet its stitching still binds an ongoing experiment in unity. And Lady Liberty, standing 305 feet above the harbor, continues to welcome travelers, her torch a promise that ideals outlast storms. These symbols endure because they are more than metal, fabric, or stone. They carry the imprint of ordinary people who dared to shape history: artisans, donors, soldiers, dreamers. Their stories remind us that democracy depends on hands willing to lift, voices willing to speak, and hearts bold enough to hope. When we gaze at these icons, we aren't just looking at monuments. We're meeting the past. And the past still has something urgent to say. Listen carefully. It's telling us that liberty is alive only as long as we keep it alive. If you've been inspired by the hidden stories behind America's most iconic symbols, give this video a like, share it with friends, and subscribe for more untold chapters of history. Together, we'll keep these voices echoing for generations.